am blinding myself with light for the sake of clarity, so you can see my beautiful face. I shaved today. I hate shaving. Anyway, so the DJ, welcome back. Thank you for asking for another question. He asks something about pessimism. I have to go to my computer real quick. Reading. Are INTPs optimistic, realistic, or pessimistic? Thanks. So, INTPs, I would say we are a culmination of both. However, it depends on the situation. Because each situation requires a different form of viewing, I suppose. So, I believe we would be more we would be more realistic toward other people in their situation. They want to talk about something, they want to explore different ways of thought, or they want to try out new things, or they want to suggest something, or whatever. And so we would focus / find ourselves, word baby, on a more realistic approach. And just explaining to them how the way it just really is, and stop, dreaming all this irrational stuff, because that's not, it's not rational or logical. And so I find myself more realistic toward people that are trying to be more visionary, that haven't quite thought through it, or they are sounding a little too confident in what they are wanting to do. Then it's obvious they haven't, thought through some things. And so I would want to bring some things to light to strengthen, because I want them to be optimistic about what they want to do and their visions, but I find myself being like the balancer, I suppose. Anyway, so for a pessimistic, I don't know if pessimistic would be more of like always assuming the worst situation possible, but I find myself, if like something's missing, it must have been stolen rather than me misplacing it somewhere. So it's easy for me to be very assuming the worst, situation, but that's not really pessimism, I suppose. I think pessimism kind of comes from a lack of other issues in life, and so you become more and more pessimistic and bitter, I would have to say. So I don't think INTPs would be very pessimistic, because we find ourselves, hey, that's irrational and that's not logical, and so even if we started thinking pessimistically, we would find ourselves out of it, because we see things for the way they are, and if they aren't half full or half empty or whatever the analogy is, then why should we dream it to be half empty, the cup being half empty? Anyway, so and then the optimism. I believe optimism comes into play when it can come into play. It doesn't always come into play, but when we perform something of some sort and people don't respond, we might think, oh man, it must have been so good they need to think about it, or it's so good they don't know how to respond. And pessimism is a really good way to make you feel a little bit more confident about what you just did if no one is giving you any feedback. So I find myself being both, I guess you could say, pessimistic or optimistic on something that I have done, and now I'm showing it off to the world, or I have performed something and I'm kind of trying to get some readout as to how people respond to it, and I go extreme either way. It's either, wow, they must have really loved it, or they really hated it, if I can't quite get an immediate response from them. So that is my take on it. INTPs out there in the rest of the universe, not really how do you, but do you find yourself more pessimistic, optimistic, or realistic? Or do you find yourself using different ones depending on different circumstances? I think this is really cool. I don't know what it looks like on YouTube. It's like you see the lines. Anyways, I will see you guys in another live, or another video. We'll switch around. You never know. That's my mom's purse. Bye!